There's a company in Germany that generates more than 20 billion euros in annual revenue. It employs more than 80,000 people across dozens of countries. The family behind it is worth tens of billions. The company owns a lubricant brand, a private bank, and a vast art collection. It runs thousands of retail locations and a sales force of roughly 44,000 people. And the product that built the empire is the screw. This is the story of Würth, the company that turned the most ordinary fastener in construction into a global industrial empire. The roots go back to the end of World War II, when Germany was in ruins. In 1945, in the small town of Künzelsau in southern Germany, Adolf Würth started a business selling screws and bolts. He was not an engineer. He was a salesman who understood that reconstruction would require millions of fasteners. He founded a small wholesale company with just 2 employees, himself and 1 assistant. The customers were workshops, construction sites, carpenters, and metal shops rebuilding post-war Germany. Instead of waiting for buyers to come to a warehouse, Adolf Würth went to the customer and sold face-to-face on site. That direct sales model became the foundation of the business. A salesperson would visit the customer's workplace, understand the trade, know which fastener fit which application, and close the sale in person. Würth operated from the road. That matters because the model only works if the salesperson can solve a broader set of problems than a wholesaler at a counter. Würth did not want to be the place that merely stocked screws. It wanted to be the company that could finish the job with the screws, the anchors, the tools, and the chemicals that went with them. Every extra item increased the value of each visit. In the early 1950s, the company was still modest. Revenue was about 170,000 Deutsche Marks, and it served only a local territory. Adolf Würth ran the business conservatively, but he also knew his own time might be limited. In 1949, he took his 14-year-old son, Reinhold Würth, out of school and brought him into the business. Reinhold did not enter as a figurehead. He handled warehouse tasks, then began making sales trips on his own. At 15, he traveled to Düsseldorf alone to solicit orders. By 17, he had earned his trade license. Adolf was not preparing an heir for management. He was training a salesman. Adolf died in 1954 at just 45 years old. Reinhold was 19 and inherited a tiny company with 2 employees, a small warehouse, a sales vehicle, and annual revenue of about 80,000 euros in today's money. He took the direct sales principle and made it systematic. Reliability and accountability became the operating code. Reinhold also broadened the offer. The company no longer sold only screws and nuts. It added anchors, dowels, tools, adhesives, and chemical products. Würth was expanding the basket of products each customer could buy in one visit. That expansion was strategic, not cosmetic. If the company could serve more of a trade's daily needs, it could make the direct sales route economically stronger. One customer call could justify more revenue, and that revenue could support more salespeople, more territory, and more inventory. The model fed itself. By the early 1960s, the transformation was visible. In 1962, Reinhold opened the first foreign subsidiary, Würth Netherlands, BV. Switzerland, Austria, and Italy followed. The pattern was always the same. Enter a country, establish a subsidiary, hire local salespeople, build a warehouse, and sell face-to-face. The company crossed the Atlantic in 1969 with Würth Screw and Fastener Corporation in the United States. South Africa followed in 1970. By the end of the 1980s, Würth operated on every inhabited continent. The financial milestones came quickly. In 1985, Würth passed 1 billion Deutsche Marks in annual revenue for the first time. In 1987, Reinhold laid out Vision 2000, a goal to reach 10 billion Deutsche Marks by the year 2000. Würth hit it on schedule. Growth was not purely organic. Through the 1990s and 2000s, Würth acquired companies across adjacent and complementary markets, especially in distribution. Many of these companies kept their original names and became allied companies within the Würth Group. That structure is one reason the company is so hard to see from the outside. Würth is not a single brand. It is a network of more than 400 companies. They sell electrical installation materials, electronic components, circuit boards, automotive aftermarket parts, furniture fittings, safety equipment, paints, and financial services. The engine behind the entire group is the sales force. Würth employs about 44,000 salespeople who are on the road every day in more than 80 countries. The model is still the same as in 1950. The salesperson drives to the customer's workplace, carries inventory, and sells in person. The point is not simply convenience. The point is presence. The salesperson becomes part of the customer's routine. A workshop that sees the same Würth rep every 2 weeks starts to treat that person like part of the supply chain. That is why the company can scale a road-based model to a size that would crush most competitors. Maintaining that system is expensive. Würth pays for 44,000 salaries, vehicles, benefits, training programs, and managers. The overhead is high, but it produces two things distributors rarely can: loyalty and intelligence. The relationship is the first advantage. The customer knows the salesperson by name. The salesperson knows what the customer builds and which products he will likely need next. The second advantage is information. Every salesperson returns from the field with data on what is selling, what is failing, and which competitors are gaining share. That intelligence feeds product development and pricing. The catalog now contains more than 125,000 items. In 1987, the same year as Vision 2000, Reinhold took an even bigger step. He transferred the company's assets into family trusts and private foundations under German law. The trusts are irrevocable. The company cannot be sold, taken public, or acquired. The purpose is permanence. That structure is not a legal trick. It is a strategic shield. Würth can keep reinvesting over decades without being pushed by a stock price, a hostile bidder, or a quarterly earnings cycle. It can spend for the long term because the ownership structure was designed for the long term. Reinhold had seen what happened when family businesses went public or accepted external capital. Short-term thinking took over. Würth was placed beyond that pressure. The secrecy is structural as well. Würth is not a public company. It publishes an annual report and a press conference, and that is about it. Competitors can see the trucks and the shops, but not the machinery behind them. Family governance continues through a dual board structure. In 1994, Reinhold stepped back from operational management and became chairman of the advisory board. Later, his daughter Bettina took that role, and his grandson Benjamin later became chairman of the supervisory board. The modern Würth Group is much larger than screws. It owns Liqui Moly, the lubricant and motor oil maker, and it owns more than 94% of the private bank Berenberg. It also supports a major art collection that now exceeds 18,000 pieces. The collection is large enough to function as a cultural institution rather than a vanity project. The company's museums and exhibition spaces are part of the same logic as the sales force. Build something durable, control it privately, and make it part of the family's long-term identity. The point of the collection is not decoration. It is a statement about what the company has become: a private industrial empire built on patient capital, direct sales, and family control. By the 2025 fiscal year, Würth reported sales of 20.7 billion euros. The group employed about 86,000 people, with roughly 44,000 in sales. The company invested heavily in warehouses, production facilities, and IT infrastructure to support its direct sales model and digital ordering systems. That investment matters because the business is now old enough that inertia alone could keep it alive for a while. Würth does not rely on inertia. It keeps building the logistics and digital backbone needed to make the old model work at modern scale. The modern group combines old and new. Customers can still buy through sales representatives, but they can also use the online shop, the Würth app, and e-procurement tools. More than 2,800 physical shops and branch offices provide pickup and consultation. Würth Industry North America ranks among the top distributors in several categories in the United States. The company's growth over 7 decades has been steady and relentless. Adolf Würth died in 1954, leaving a tiny screw wholesaler to a 19-year-old son who'd been selling fasteners since he was 14. Reinhold turned that business into a global empire by pushing the same idea harder than anyone expected. Go to the customer, sell in person, deliver immediately. Today, Reinhold Würth is in his 90s and still lives in Künzelsau, close to the company's origin. 3 generations of family leadership have kept the business private, unlisted, and centered on the same principle that started it all: From the outside, the company can look almost invisible because it does not chase consumers. But the people who actually need screws, anchors, and assembly products know exactly what it is. The empire is hidden in plain sight, carried forward by routine visits, long relationships, and a structure designed to outlast market fashion. That is enough. The company made its fortune by chasing customer relationships instead of consumer fame. It built a direct sales network instead of a retail brand. It turned the screw into a system and the system into an empire.